So I'm going to talk to you about ideation today. A lot of people don't even know what it is. A lot of people know what it is, have tried it, and are not so good at it. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it right for your subscription company. Real quick, who am I? I've worked at a whole lot of weird places. I've worked at Disney, IDEO, the Los Alamos National Laboratories on stuff I can't talk about, and the natural progression from that is advertising. So now I'm doing really cool stuff for Element 5. I'm doing real bleeding edge ideation stuff, which we're going to talk about. But the important thing to know about me is I've been on the internet a long freaking time. I started making websites in '94. And I started winning awards right away, so I was like, I'm going to stop being an illustrator and just do this. And I started blogging in '98, which was really, really early. We really weren't even called bloggers then. And I started this blog called Davezilla. Pretty much anything on the internet now, Davezilla is me. And I got in a big trouble from it one day. I got this cease and desist package from Japan. And it was this company, it was a keiretsu named Toho. They own all the pottery in Japan, and they own anything related to Godzilla. And they're like, dude, cut it out. And I said no, I called BS on it, and I posted my cease and desist to like 150 blogs at a time. Anyways, long story short, I won, and as a result, I'm now a verb in the Urban Dictionary, which is an official sign you've been on the internet way too long. So we're talking about the subscription, right now, the state of marketing for subscription companies, to me, with few exceptions, kind of sucks. So, subscription box, why you know market so good? Well, why do you think that is? Anybody? I think it's because you guys aren't ideating enough. And I think the biggest culprit is when people do brainstorming sessions, they do really bad ones. I've actually heard recently even someone said, oh, I could just Google how to do that. I read Edward de Bono's 6 Hats. I know how to ideate. No, you don't. And here's a really scary statistic. 67 ideas per quarter is how many you need to keep relevant and keep ahead of your competition. 67. So if you're doing, 268 a year? You guys doing that? How many of you are doing more than that? 0. Great. Okay, so 80% of the C-levels think they have enough ideas to keep their company and their product innovative and ahead of the competition. Problem is, only 36% of their marketing managers know how to keep things relative, and they don't have a process in place for gathering ideas, and that's not so good. All of you guys started out with an idea, right? You all started your company with a quick idea. Apple, that's literally the first Apple computer. Looks awesome. But they went on to revolutionize and change computing industry forever. Not a lot of products can say that, and a lot of it's because they don't know how to ideate properly. You get some great products that last like 15 minutes, like this one. Yes, this was a thing. And companies are spending millions of dollars on R&D for useful products. But only 67% of you guys can properly define ideation or innovation. 67% of you guys. That's not good. And one of the biggest problems is only 15% of the companies in the US and the European Union claim that they've actually seen profit out of their R&D efforts and out of their innovation. It's because they think that what they're doing is working, and it's really not. That's why we get such great products in the US that really, really change culture. So why you don't understand innovation? Well, I think it's because you guys are making a fatal flaw. And the fatal flaw is you think that it's enough to have big ideas and blue sky thinking and all that stuff. It's not, okay? It really isn't. Harvard Business Review recently said that there was 4 things they'd identified. They did this massive, massive study on innovation and ideation. And they said there was 4 factors that they'd identified that you have to have or you're not going to succeed. First one was you got to have, did that click? No? More participants in your ideation sessions. So when you're brainstorming, you have to have lots of people. Second was you got to have a lot of ideas. You have to have a very rigorous process, and that you have to have a diversity of opinions going on. So we're going to talk about each of those really quick. More participants. Well, I know this is Burning Man, but I checked that there's no naked people. Wisdom of crowds, really. The more people you have, the more ideas you're going to produce. Nikola Tesla and Da Vinci were not coming up with genius ideas every minute. They spilled coffee on their stuff too. Okay, that's pretty obvious that more people are going to have more ideas. What's less obvious is that geniuses don't think genius things all day, and that they're not going to be as, but more people, even people who are untrained, will outproduce a genius every time. And that's why we want to have lots of people come up with ideas, not just one. One person's not going to work, okay? The next thing they said was more ideas. Well, more ideas, obviously if you have more people, you're going to have them, right? I hope that's pretty obvious. So going back to our original thing about 62 or 67 ideas, whatever, per quarter, that's actually not what it is. There's a 5-to-1 ratio of ideas. So for every 5 ideas you produce, only 1 will actually be usable or viable. So how many ideas are you actually coming up with per quarter? 268 per quarter to get 67 per quarter, because you're throwing all those out, okay? So that makes it harder than you think. Here's the other thing. The first idea, I see this all the time. When people sit down in these idea and brainstorming sessions, the first idea you have, it's never your best one. It's always the one later in the day that you've either tacked off somebody else's or something inspired you, or you just came up with one. So anyways, you want to come up with tons and tons and tons of ideas, okay? The next one is having a really strong evaluation process, not like NPR's. Theirs is a little overkill. But what I don't like is when people don't have any type of thing and they're like, well, we're going to do dot voting. I've got stickers and everyone put 3 down. You know what happens? People put 3 stickers on their ideas only, and you might as well just do this. I like more rigorous processes like 4 categories method or things like that. You guys know what that one is? It's basically you break the ideas into 4 ways of doing it. Like, I want you to vote for the most rational idea that's going to, that's going to work. An idea is going to make the members and your subscribers really, really happy. An idea you're like, that's just a really good idea. And then the one that might be a real long shot. And people aren't as likely to post on their own ideas and vote for their own stuff, okay? The next thing is having lots of opinions, having really diverse ones, and this should be pretty obvious, be inclusive. It doesn't just mean, if you're stuck in an area where everybody is really the same, like a lot of companies, too many old white guys, if you think your company's too white and too male, hint, it is. Just pro tip for you guys. But the biggest worry isn't that. It's really like having the right kind of people in the meeting, and that means not just having all your leaders doing all the ideas. You've got to have people from all levels of the company, because the boss can't always have the good ideas. There's no way. Also, it would be great, wouldn't it? No, the bosses can't, but this is the thing I want you to think about. If you're one of those bosses that like intimidates the crap out of people, and you know who you are if you're in this room and you do that, excuse yourself from this meeting, from doing that session, because your people will not come up with ideas, and I've seen it. I've seen meetings that were going really, really well. People were talking. They were coming up with millions of ideas, and then one C-level walks in, whoosh, everyone shuts up. Ideas stop. It's a real thing. So those are their 4 things that Harvard said were problem I had with their list was they missed 3 that were kind of big. And the first one was a lot of ideas never get off the board until and get produced. So I've seen a lot of companies like, yeah, we did an ideation session and we came up with 300 ideas. They were really good. And I think they're in a box somewhere. Well, how many things got produced? I don't know. And they don't even know. Because that's a problem is these companies don't, it's not part of their culture. Most of you, you weren't raised in a culture of like, you didn't all work at IDEO where that's the thing you do is ideate all the time. So if you haven't done that, you don't know how to implement or take those ideas from Post-it note to production, right? It's not that your employees aren't creative and coming up with really amazing, useful ideas, but if you don't have an implementation process, you're pretty much, lighting everything on fire. The second thing I noticed was that if you don't have a trained facilitator, it's not good. Same thing, you can't just Google this, okay? There's things things I've learned over the years as a facilitator. Like I can watch people's energy level and change what I'm doing, change the exercise. I can watch if people's eyes are going to the upper left. I know they're thinking. If they're going to the lower right when they're talking, I know they're lying to me. That's not something you're going to get from Googling, okay? Another one. How many of you have like that one rock star employee that like comes up with things that are like, God, yeah, we should make that a separate division. That person is an entrepreneur and they should be treated that way. And you should encourage them to do things like that, to like make things for the company and let it be a company within a company. You're not going to grow if you don't do that. So find those people and encourage them to keep going. This is embarrassing because I just realized I went really, really fast. But it's typical of me. So we're going to have some time for questions. I promise you. No, I really did. I practiced this and I got 14, 15 minutes. What I'm going to do here, though, is I'm going to give you some ideas for free right now, okay? And then we're going to have time for questions. And the questions we're going to have, you guys can ask anything you want about process, technique, whatever. I will answer it. But I'm going to give you guys free ideas right now. Try to keep up. Go. Build a customer brand, give your product away for free, send your kids to college. Become a product placement, align your brand with a cause. I can't read these as fast. Increase. These are all really good ideas. And by the way, we have a whole bowl outside the door, so if you want to grab a free idea from me, please do so. You want any more? Yes? All right. Someone tell me something they're stuck on.
I have something.
Okay, go for it.
I am a solopreneur, so where am I going to get the other ideas outside of my head?
Oh, that's a great question. What do you do when you're the only one? Are you Nikola Tesla? You're not. So, yeah. You will have to literally bring in friends and bring in people that match your target audience who think this way and just say, hey, can I borrow you for like 2 hours? I will buy you pizza or whatever and take you through an exercise. But it's not going to be ideal, but it's better than nothing, okay? So the slides are badass. Can we have them? Absolutely, you guys can have them. I don't like bullet points. I really freaking hate bullet points. I like memes. Next question. What's that? Thanks, Oye. Anybody else have a question? Back, yes.
All right, so what happens when you have more ideas than time?
More ideas than time? How is that a bad thing? So there's a question where what you want to do is figure out priorities. Like, what can I do now? So like with the 4 categories method, are these rational? Is this actually going to make our customers happy? Is this just something I just happen to like? Or is it a truly innovative reach? If it's going to fit in 2 of those, do that. Do that idea first and make that part of your roadmap. Everything else, put it on hold, but never throw away ideas because the ideas that failed in one ideation session might work for another one or might spark somebody else. You never know what somebody else has come up with. Okay? So you never know what their life experience is going to be, and what you thought was a stupid, wild idea actually made them think of a really great idea. What is your process? Oh, I'm sorry, have you ever heard of design thinking? Absolutely. And would you use some of those tools to ideate? Design thinking, I'm more conceptually than worrying about specific tools for it, but yeah, absolutely. Design thinking it's been around since 1970. It's a great way of working. Ideation is part of it. It really is. So yes, absolutely. If anyone asked that question, I would like to know if they had something more specific, because that was kind of broad. Yes.
How do you find a quality facilitator?
Yeah.
Because they're not all quality.
No, they're not. And I think part of that is like, you got to interview people. One, ask them, what are you going to do when no one's come up with ideas? What's your process? Everything. How can I guarantee some of these ideas are going to work? What are you going to do for follow-up? Do you have an implementation process I can see? What is it? And make them show you all that stuff, because if they don't show you those things, they don't have either case studies or examples of it. Even case studies, it's like those are good, but they don't show you how the person works. If that person has videos of themselves doing some, because a lot of us do, I get videotaped a lot. Watch one. Ask if you can see a session. Ask if you can sit in and participate in one with them. In fact, that's probably the best way, because you'll actually feel what's going on in the room and all that, okay? Does that answer it? Excellent. Another one.
Well, I have a question about ideas. So, I've been told that too many ideas can sometimes kind of take you away from like what you're doing, right? So my question is, for instance, with your business idea, your subscription box, when you're still pretty new, you might be set on the structure of it and how you want to position it, but then you have some people giving you more ideas. And you've already sort of started branding your company based on this idea that you have. When do you kind of stop accepting ideas so that you can sort of continue with the consistency of your brand? Like, when is a good time for ideas, and when is it, this is what it should be so that we can stay consistent?
So you do have to keep doing ideas, but the thing is, you should get really specific in what you do your session on. So if, for example, your leads are getting low, or you're not getting subscribers, and you've already gone through all the things like, hey, guess what? Our sign-up form was broken. Well, okay, that's easy fix. But if it turns out like we just can't identify it, make a session just on that. And the more specific it is, the better. Don't do broad sessions like, what should subscription boxes be about? That's not going to get you anywhere. It's got to be really finite and stick to the point. Remember what Willie was just saying about goals? He's right. You got to write those down and stick with them. Everybody in the team's got to be on board with them. And if they're not on the same page, you are going to just ideate randomly, come up with some cool things, and then be like companies that they kind of like, how some companies start getting into different areas, and then they lose their way, and then they're like, downward. Sears is a great example. They were a great tool company until they decided to do the softer side of Sears, and then people were like, what? And they have failed ever since. You have to stick with whatever you're about and be that. So if the ideas don't help you reach those goals, don't use them. Those ideas go away. Does that make sense?
Dave, I'm told we have a good question on the monitor too.
Yeah, we got a lot here. I'm sorry. What are your thoughts on Lean Six Sigma methodologies for ideation and change? Is a good way of ideating and rehearsing. If you can make it work, anything is work, as long as you've got something that you guys all believe in and you're used to it. I'm not big on Six Sigma myself, mainly because I wasn't part of the companies that did that. I was more raised on design thinking methods and more of the modern approaches. There's nothing wrong with Six Sigma. It does work. So it's really just a different approach. I think it's fine. I work for old white guys with standard processes. I feel your pain. And work at a performance-based agency. How do you go about bringing up ideas and value behind it? Stopped. It's cut off. Does whoever asked that? I know you work for white guys with processes, and I know you work. Okay, yes.
You work at a place where there's not exactly time to come up with an idea session, and it's performance-based models. How then do you explain the value behind taking a couple hours a day and then putting in?
If they can't take one day a quarter to do an ideation session, then I re-identify and say, well, how are we going to get performance if we don't constantly innovate? Your performance will be stagnant, right? You will be doing the same thing every single time. Like Thomas Edison, I think, said that if you keep doing the same things you do, you get what you always get. You can't keep doing the same things. And if you're noticing that your competitors are jumping ahead of you, this isn't performance-based, right? I mean, you are, but you're not proving performance. If you're doing the same thing every time, you're going to stagnate and you will just be doing plateauing, right? And you don't want to be doing that. You want to constantly be going up. And the only way to go up is constantly come up with new challenging things. Ideation is proven. I mean, you look at all the Fortune 500 companies, they all do it. There's a reason they do it, because they want to stay ahead. That's why they got there. It's not some like cool thing that some companies do that's fun. It is fun, but that's not what the point of it is. The point of it is that you have business needs you've got to make, and ultimately we're here to make a paycheck, right? And you're not going to get there. If they can't take a day out, I would be really upset with them. I would be like, look, I'll show you all the stats on why this is going to make our performance go up. Because we're not going to get there if we keep doing the same thing every single day, right? Does that answer? Okay. What's the best way to tell your founder that his latest idea is basically a shiny object? Ooh. I have 50 seconds to answer this. The best way to tell them it's just a shiny object, I think you'd have to get some stats and some data, honestly, and also this is better than anything, get testimonials from real people who will tell you, yeah, that's cute, I wouldn't buy it. Because that's going to go farther than anything, especially if they tell you why they wouldn't buy it or why they wouldn't subscribe for it or whatever. Because you're right. People do get enamored of their ideas, and that's why I said the dot voting, that kind of stuff, is like kind of weak because people vote for their own ideas. People get enamored of their own ideas. They get their egos hurt when they don't. Make sense? Anybody else? Or are we done? I don't want to get Chris mad at me. I know you are, and I don't want that. All right, thanks, man.